Real estate investing for beginners in 2025. A lot of people say, should I invest in real estate? Yeah, ask any stockbroker in the world, they'll tell you absolutely not. Technology is changing everything. The AI is changing the game with how real estate investing is being done, and it's going to continue to change it for the near future. Hi, this is Damon Gettier with Damon Gettier Associates Realtors-Brokered by Real. Real estate investing for beginners in 2025. If you're thinking about investing in real estate, I would highly encourage you to do your homework. I will tell you it can be immensely rewarding. It can be fun. It can be stressful at times, but it is immensely rewarding. Buying real estate is something that you can look at, touch, feel, drive by. You know it's there. If you buy stock, you can think it's there. It might be there. It's in a portfolio. It says it's there, but you can't touch it, can't look at it, can't feel it, can't walk on it. Okay, and in real estate, you can do all those things. So buying real estate used to be a totally local thing, and with technology today, it's not nearly as local as it used to be, although I prefer to buy stuff I can look at and touch. With the technology we have today, you can evaluate properties, you can run numbers on properties, you can find out what cap rates are, you can find out what interest rates are available, you can find out what the profit margins should be. So information is very accessible now where it didn't used to be accessible. You can pull comps, you can do a lot of the homework yourself. I still recommend having a real estate agent guide you, help you, but you can verify it. And there's a saying in real estate, inspect and verify. So if you need a certain cap rate, if you need something, then I would definitely have your agent run the numbers for you, but I would verify it. And it's a lot easier to verify numbers now than it ever has been before. There's many tools out there. There's many technologies out there that allow you to analyze deals and put stuff into simple calculators and make sure that the deal makes monetary sense before going in. There's also alternative investments. There's a thing called REITs, which is REITs, which is real estate, RE, investment I, trusts. And REITs allow you to pool money with other investors so that your exposure is limited. You can buy bigger projects. Bigger projects are typically safer. Like do apartment buildings. An apartment building safer than a house because if you have a 300 unit apartment building, someone doesn't pay rent. That's 1 out of 300. If you have a house, someone doesn't pay rent. That's 1 out of 1. And so a REIT is a little safer. It usually has a little more predictable return on investment. It's not as sexy or fun in that you don't have that asset that you can go look at, drive by, walk in, whatnot. But it is safer, and it is a vehicle that a lot of people are putting money in. If you ever listen to radio, TV, you'll see Grant Cardone is constantly pushing REITs, real estate investment trusts. It's a vehicle that's very popular now. The other thing you can do is crowdfunding. So you can pool money with others and get into the investment game. So we flip houses, we wholesale houses, we do that. And so we have private investors that work with us. Somebody says, hey, look, I want to get 8, 10, 12% return on my money. How can I do it? Well, we have some projects that they can invest in and they can get a return on their investment. And in addition to the return on the investment, they can get a slice of the profit also. And so there's different ways you can use your money now to invest in real estate, even if you don't want to manage real estate. A lot of people say, hey, I want to invest in real estate, but I don't want to have to fix a property. I don't want to have to maintain a property. I don't have to deal with tenants. There's ways you can deal with that. You can do it either in a REIT or you can do it locally. The local usually pays a higher percentage, and the REIT's got management fees and whatnot. But you can do it with people like myself. You can invest and we can go in on properties where we handle all the maintenance, we handle the upkeep, we handle all that, and then you handle the finance side. And so that happens every day, not just here, it happens every day. I've got dozens and dozens of friends around the country that do this with private individuals all the time. So a lot of investors now are using AI to run numbers for them. They can run numbers for them. You can use it to identify properties that will have higher cap rates. You can identify properties. We use AI to identify people potentially that are behind on mortgage payments. With virtual reality now, you can show properties. You can look at properties that are all the way across the country and you can see the entire property. You can do walkthrough tours of properties now. Technology is changing everything. GIS. GIS is probably one of the most underused tools in real estate where I can actually see the property lines. I can see what it looks like. I can see what it looked like 5 years ago, 4 years ago, 3 years ago, 2 years ago. You can look at how the property has evolved over the last 10, 15 years. You can look at sales records online. The AI is changing the game with how real estate investing is being done, and it's going to continue to change it for the near future. So you need to understand your financial goals and your tolerance for risk. Every investor is different. Some people want cash flow. flow, and some people want long-term appreciation. And I was talking with a friend of mine the other day. He said, I want cash flow. And I'm like, you make enough money. So this individual makes about $200,000 a year. And what is he going to do with more money? More money, he's going to pay more taxes. Whereas if he were to buy for appreciation, if he were to buy so that the house is appreciated faster, then his retirement could come quicker and he'd have more of a legacy to leave his family. So you really need to know, what do you want to do? It's like, if you're younger, you really want to buy for appreciation. If you're getting in the latter years of life, you're probably looking to buy more for income producing properties. And there's two different ways you can go. Some people balance the two. Some people balance income producing with appreciation so that they have best of both worlds. And so a income producing property might be something that has a higher cap rate, that is going to produce more income now, but with more income comes more tax. And whereas something that is for appreciation, you might make less money today, but it's going to appreciate quicker and retain value longer. And so if you want to get that conversation, message me, call me. We'll talk about that, because there's some intricacies with that kind of transcend video. So assessing risk appetite. So one thing to keep that's different in stocks than housing is if you need to liquidate, if you need money now, if you need cash next week, real estate's not where you want to keep that money. You want to keep that money in something, a mutual fund or a stock or something that you can sell and access that money. Because if you decide you want to sell your house today, unless you give it away, you're not going to have money in 7 to 10 days. And so I don't risk money. I don't put money at risk. If I invest in a project, if I invest in a house, then I know the day I buy it that I'm making money. And that's another thing to keep in mind. You make money when you buy a house. You don't make money when you sell a house. And what I mean by that is, certainly that's when you make the money, is when you sell it. But if you buy the wrong house, you'll never make money. You're like, don't pay too much, don't buy the wrong house. You buy the wrong house, you'll never make money. And that's just one of the biggest keys I've always learned. If my gut says no, then I say no. I don't ever go against my gut. And your gut was given there for a reason. Trust your gut. So if you're looking like, what can I invest in real estate? What's your budget? Really depends. I'd say if it's less than 10, 20,000, you don't have the money to invest in real estate. So if you're buying an investment home, you're gonna have to put a minimum of 10% down. Most banks are gonna want 20% down. So minimum 10% down, probably 20% down, maybe 25% down, okay? And so you need $10,000, $20,000. But with $10,000, $20,000, you could put the money down and buy an income producing property. If you have 25, 50, 75, 100,000 or more, there's more things you can do. So you can buy a property, and that'd be an income producing property, be an investment property. You could also invest in real estate projects. Like when we do our flips, remodels, whatnot, a lot of times people will come in, they'll invest money with us to make 8 to 9% on the project, and then they make a percentage of the profit also. So it depends what your appetite is and what you're looking for. If you have $10,000, $20,000, those projects really aren't attractive to you or to partners like myself. And the reason is you'd have to take 4, 5, 6 people together to put them in there. And what's happening is you have too many people in a pot, and it just doesn't work very well. So how do you navigate the property acquisition process? First and foremost, good deal starts with research. When I say research, first thing you want to do is you want to find out what the property is worth. And that's by pulling comparative values. And so we use a term you'll hear all the time with investors is ARV. ARV is as repaired value. So that's what we want to know. What's a house worth repaired? Once we figure out what it's worth repaired, we want to figure out what repairs it needs. So when we buy a house, we always do a home inspection because we want to know what repairs that house needs. And so we know what it's worth. Let's just say it's worth $300. And let's just say we do the home inspection, we give it to our contractor or to some of our subs, and we look at it and it needs $80,000. Well, the house is now not worth $300,000. The max it could be worth would be $220,000, which would be $300 minus the $80,000, so $220,000. And so you got to figure out what profit you want to make outside of that. And so we know the most is worth $300,000. We know it needs $80,000 worth of repairs, and then we know it needs profit model. So how much profit do we want to make in that? Subtract that number from that. Keep in mind that you also have things like holding costs. So if you're getting a loan and you're making payments on it, so let's just use an example. I'm gonna buy a house that's gonna be $300,000 and it needs $80,000 for the repairs. Now we're at $220,000. It's gonna take me 6 months to do those repairs. So if I'm paying a loan on that and I'm paying a loan of $1,800 a month, I got 6 months times $1,800. Rough math on that, I'm gonna say $10,000. Also, I have power, gas on that. I also have lawn care on that property. So all those come out of it also. And so what's happening is you see a lot of people buy houses, then it's a $300,000 house that needs $80,000 and they want to make $20,000. They say, fine, I can pay $200,000 for this. Well, they forgot they have to make payments. They forgot forgot they have to pay insurance, they have to pay taxes, they forgot they have to pay for utilities, they forgot they have to pay for lawn care. And so all of a sudden these people buy the house and then they want to price it at $350 because they figured out they actually have $50,000 in it more than they thought they were, and they end up losing the projects. And so you need to do a spreadsheet on that property of what it's going to cost you when you buy it. And sometimes home sellers get upset. They say, look, you don't want to offer me enough for the house. Well, I mean, if you have a house that would be worth $300, needs $80, and then I have to fix it, I have to maintain it, I have to do all this stuff, there's a cost involved in that. And unfortunately, it's not just the raw repair costs. And so you need to spreadsheet all those out and then put in your profit margin. How much profit do you intend to make on that house? And put that all in there. And that's going to be, how you assess a deal when you look at a deal. And if you have questions, you want to go further in that, we can go further in that and show you some of the spreadsheets we use and everything. But it's a process that goes into it. You want to make sure. That's why it's so important when I say you make money when you buy a house. Because if you bought that house for $200, you will not make any money. I can promise you. You cannot put $80,000 into a house, $300,000 house, pay $200, put $80 in it, and you will not make money. So on financing, first and foremost, you cannot do FHA, you cannot do VA, you cannot do USDA. Those are all for owner-occupant homes. You have to use a conventional loan, private loans. That's the only two ways you can buy that property is either conventional, investor loans, commercial loans, or a private loan. You cannot use any government-style loan. If you do use a government-style loan, you've now committed what's called mortgage fraud. So we don't do mortgage fraud. It's just not what we do. So you need a conventional loan, investor loan, commercial loan, or a private loan to do an investment home. Successful investing comes down to negotiating. You have to be able to communicate with whoever you're purchasing a home with exactly what it's going to take for you to get that property to the closing table, not with them, but with the next buyer, like what the expenses are going to be. So right now you're probably thinking, you're an information overload. You're thinking, what do I do? You have two basic things. You can do buy and hold, or you do fix and flip. And then if you do the buy and hold, the one thing you think about is who's going to manage the property. Whether it's going to be you, or you're going to hire a company to do that, which by the way, we have a company that does that. It's called 540 Rentals that does property management in this area. If you're looking at buying and holding, there's what's called DSCR loans, which will go off of the rentals. They'll look at what the house is worth. They'll look at the rent roll, like how much it's rented for, and they'll loan you. The company we use loans us 75% of the appraised value as long as the rent supports that. And so it's something that works really well for us. There's basically, it's called BRRRR. It's buy, renovate, rent, refinance. That's a way that you can make money, quote unquote, without paying taxes because it's a loan, so you don't pay tax on loan income. And that's a way that a lot of people use to make legal income that you don't have to pay taxes on. So it reduces your tax. Your income can still remain up, but you have less taxable income because it's a loan and it's not actual income. It's not earned income. And so you can save money on taxes like that. Fix and flips, keep in mind that if it's less than a year, if you hold it less than a year, you pay short-term capital gains, which is ugly. You're still making a profit. That's why you just make sure you're making enough profit, because if you're making too little profit, then you're on an investment, short-term capital gains, and that's an ugly number. If you keep it more than a year, then you have long-term capital gains. So what some people do that can is they'll buy a house, fix it up for the most part, rent it out, rent for a year or two, and then finish it, flip it, and that way you have short-term capital gains. So there's ways you can play it so that you can lessen the tax burden. But keep in mind, with real estate, there are tax benefits, so you can depreciate a property over 27 years. I will tell you, when it comes to taxes, talk to your CPA, talk to your tax professional. I'm going to give you that much advice. Outside of that, talk to them. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, share, tell everybody. If you'd like to engage with us about real estate, please visit us at the Real Estate Success Cast on Facebook. Until next time, bye.